In my last video, I explored how the Puke system in RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 actually works, specifically looking at how long it takes for guests to stop puking in your park. But a couple of users on Reddit suggested that there might be more to this system than my initial experiment revealed. So, I took all of your suggestions and ideas to heart, and now we're going to push the limits of puking even further and see what else could influence this mechanic. And yes, we're going full nerd science mode today.
Come on! Yes!
So grab your lab coats because things are about to get delightfully disgusting. Two comments absolutely stood out. First, the idea of creating a path like a branching tree, so that on every step the guest would have to make a decision potentially overriding the puking mechanic. Second, what if the 128 tick cycle, which checks if a guest should puke, could somehow be interrupted? Or where does the 128 tick cycle start if your station and the exit are really far apart, and could that affect the puke cycle at all? So, today we're tackling three big messy questions. Number 1. Can branching paths force guests to make decisions constantly and potentially stopping them from puking? Number 2. Can the 128 tick mechanic that triggers nausea and puking be interrupted? And number 3, does the length of a station of a ride affect the guest's puking cycle? Spoiler alert, the answers are weird, fascinating, and sometimes completely ridiculous. Alright, let's dive in. Hello and welcome, I'm PixelatedQuest, and today we're attempting the impossible, to break or at least circumvent the puking mechanic in RollerCoaster Tycoon 2. If you enjoy weird little science projects like this one and want to see more deep dives into the strange corners of gaming, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment and smash that like button like it's an obnoxious guest that you just tried to drown in a lake. And yes, you heard me right, drown in a lake. This is extreme science, people.
Yes, science!
I actually wanted to make this video sooner, but with all my YouTube money rolling in, I took my wife on a short vacation. Fun fact, the rental company apparently put me on a void list now. Experiment 1. Branching paths. Our first idea is to create a path structure that forces guests to make decisions constantly. My initial approach was to create a full concrete exit path. In theory, guests would need to make a choice every step with this setup. Sounds clever, right? After running this coaster for a full in-game year, a glaring issue appeared. Most guests take the path along the edges. You can see this in the nicely layered puke stains on the ground. Guests avoid midsections entirely here. It's like they have a secret rule to hug the edges. But why? Absolutely no idea.
The fuck is this piece of shit?
But this behavior seems to be hard-coded into the game's pathfinding mechanic. So, in conclusion, a full concrete exit path does not prevent guests from puking. Next, I tried adding just all bends in the path and marking every thin tiles with different colors. Shout out to Alice Mabels for the coloring marking idea. Another full in-game year later, guests still puked everywhere at random times. This suggests that either the bends do not trigger the pathfinding mechanic in a way that overrides nausea, or the pathfinding mechanic simply cannot cancel the need to puke. Here's my final test for experiment number 1. What if the guests wander aimlessly? I built another coaster that's a guaranteed puke machine and remove all path tiles at the exit. Guests wandered, triggering pathfinding constantly because there was literally no path, but guess what? They still puke, like this guest right here. Since puke stains do not appear on grass tiles, it was invisible, but the system was still working. Conclusion. The pathfinding mechanic does not override the puke system. Branching paths and wandering guests cannot save your park from puke chaos. And honestly, watching them wander like confused zombies while puking, it's oddly satisfying. Plus, it gave me the brilliant idea to maybe create a puke maze challenge in my next park, like an extreme sport for vomit aficionados. Experiment number 2. Interrupting the 128 tick mechanic. Next we ask, can the 128 tick cycle that checks for nausea and triggers vomiting be interrupted? Since experiment 1 showed that pathfinding does not interfere, maybe there's another way. Spoiler alert, yes there is. I tried multiple approaches. A all toilet section, a all food and drink section, tiles with only entertainers on them, tiles with only benches on them. To my surprise, toilets, drinks, food, and even entertainers had zero effect. Guests would still puke as usual. Benches, however, did work to some extent. If a guest was on the verge of puking and sat down, sometimes, but just sometimes, their nausea meter would decrease, preventing a puke. Not perfect, but kind of a solution, but not really. Honestly, it's like a tiny glimmer of hope in a sea of vomit. But here's the crazy one. This method is utterly useless in practice, but works 100%. 1. Build a high tower of soil. 2. Place a guest on it who is about to puke. 3. Demolish the tower of soil underneath them so that they start falling. While falling, the puking mechanic is simply not being triggered. Repeat this process. Place it on another tower, demolish, fall again. Guests never puke. The logic? They simply do not have the time to puke while falling. Unlike the bench trick, this method is completely reliable, just completely unsustainable in any real park scenario. Conclusion: the 128 tick puke check can be interrupted, but only with extreme and impractical methods like the one I just explained. Experiment number 3. Does the ride station length affect puking? Finally, I explored whether the length of a station affects the guest's puking cycle. I built an extremely long station, placing the exit on the far side. Guests had to walk a really long distance while being technically still on the ride. Since guests cannot puke on rides, maybe this would burn off nausea before they reach the exit, or at least give us a different pattern of vomit on the path after the exit. The result? Absolutely no effect. Guests still puked once they exited after walking the entire length of this long station to the exit. Unless you could somehow build a station ridiculously long, far beyond the game's current limitations, that would essentially force the guests to walk for a month or two in game time before they reach the exit of the ride, and this way walk off their nausea before they would reach a path tiled outside of the ride. In theory, this could possibly work, but this is an experiment for another video. So there you have it. 3 experiments based on your brilliant comments and suggestions. Guests cannot be forced to avoid puking through path structures. The 128 tick system can only be interrupted in extreme ways. And ride station length has zero meaningful effect going by the current game's station length limitations. Here are some outtakes of other micro experiments I tried while recording this video. Stick around until the end so I can go on another vacation with all my YouTube money. Some of these experiments were hilariously pointless, but still here they are. I need a shower after all of this, honestly. Thank you very much for watching this bizarre little RollerCoaster Tycoon science project. If you'd like to see more strange experiments or just watch me play more Open RCT2, let me know in the comments below. And of course, do not forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more RCT2 experiments. Also, if you do try any of these yourself, please maybe wear gloves. Congratulations to the winners of this giveaway, listed here. Send me an email to claim your Steam key. If you also want to participate in the next giveaway, which will be in the next video I release, simply subscribe to my channel. I will be picking 5 random subscribers with each video releasing. Have a wonderful day.